It's magic. Triumphant C. Hey everyone, welcome to That Pedal Show. Viewers, comments and questions. Dan here.
Mick here. Hello, La.
Mick and Catherine have been away celebrating birthdays and things. So, yes, wonderful to have them back.
We did. We went all the way as far as you can go in Wales, in South Wales, and we just had the most magnificent time. I'd like to say a public thank you to all the people of Pembrokeshire who were so incredibly kind to us, and we just had the most amazing time. What a lovely, lovely, lovely place. Lovely part of the world.
Don't think I've been.
Go. A few people said it's like Cornwall 25 years ago.
Seriously? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, welcome everyone. Sorry we haven't been. We've been a bit rubbish with VCQ lately for various reasons. So we'll try and be a bit better into the summer, and then of course we'll have a long summer break. But before that, we'll be in. Who have we got then? Who's on today? Morley Robertson is on. Hey Morley.
Hello, Morley.
Super Mole Moose. BV, thank you BV. Right. Let's see if I can do this. No, I can't. Can't work out how to do it, BV, I'm afraid. YouTube are doing this top fans thing, and we're trying to work out how to turn it off, but
Oh, okay.
there doesn't seem to be an obvious way to do it. Anyway, being the endless curmudgeons that we are.
Oh, I can see. Right. BV has got 225 XP points. Extra power.
It's so one of the very many things wrong with the modern day.
Okay.
Yeah. Michael Giliberto. Hey, Michael. Good to hear from you. Plexico is on.
Joe from Hello Sailor is on, which is
Hey,
awesome.
Joe.
Frankie Holt's on.
Tom Kaluri. Hey, Tom. Ranzer. Hey,
yes,
buddy.
lovely. Moon, Planet Ross,
Chris W. Andrew R. Johnny T.
Neil O'Shea.
Greg Barge is on. Hey, Greg.
Hey,
Good to hear
awesome.
from you, buddy. Peter Geo. Did you say Marcus Reeves?
I didn't say Marcus Reeves.
Marcus Reeves is on. Hey, Marcus. How are you, buddy?
Distant Sun Studios. I love that song.
Distant Sun. Who's that by?
Crowded House.
Okay, yes, of course it is.
Sun.
Mike's Music. Hey, well, thank you for
Hey,
being with
sorry,
us.
Dan. Yes, my studio is named after the song. Yay!
What a beautiful, beautiful band.
Mm-hmm. That was a good day.
Yeah, it was.
All that and Spinal Tap.
Yeah. Spinal Tap and Neil Finn on the same day.
I haven't done any housekeeping, but could you let patrons know?
Patrons. That was a sort of alert.
Check it out.
Check this out.
There it is. The DevTech D-Sotum, otherwise known as Dark Side of the Moon Fuzz. It's the one I have on my pedal board. And Terry at DevTech Audio, bless him, has sent one
Thank you,
over and
Terry.
says, here you go. Have one for your beautiful people.
For
so
patrons.
there we go.
So there you go. So that'll be this month's patron giveaway. If you're not a patron, please do so. Is DevTech Audio Australizations?
They are.
Ah, so it's Tez, mate.
Tezza.
Cheers, mate. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do is turn the super chats off now, so that we can have a lovely old
natter.
a lovely old time.
Yes.
If I can remember how to do it. I don't know about you guys, but I find if I haven't done something for a week, I'm now forgetting how to do it.
Oh, yeah.
I opened up Adobe Premiere today to do an edit. I'm like, what? I don't remember it being like this. Right. So, super chats then. Looks like Chris Turner's going to be last in today, I think, unless one is just coming in as I push the button. Was that push the button? Is that Atomic Kitten? Is that them? Push the button.
Atomic Kitten, push the button.
Is that what it was
I
called?
do not know.
Or was it Sugar Babes?
Was it Sugar Babes?
Was it called Push the Button?
Again, I do not know. Information that I am not privy to.
Patrick Hilaire, appropriately enough, is last. Good. All right. What's new, Dan? I mean,
Oh boy, we've had a week. We've had tears. We've had laughter. We've had, something for everyone.
yeah.
Yeah, since you've been away, since you've been gone.
What's the sum total of humans? What's the net?
What, globally?
No. In your life, like if you've had everything, that means some have gone, some have arrived.
My niece gave birth to a son
Plus
today.
one.
Plus one. We've had one of our employees has unfortunately had a -1. And
Zero.
so we're back to it's a
Back to
zero-sum
zero.
game.
Yeah, zero-sum game.
Yep.
That's the human condition,
Move one
is
out,
it not?
move one in.
Yeah. One
Yeah.
out, one in.
Scores on the doors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve says it was the Sugar Babes.
Thanks, Steve. It was the Sugar Babes. Sugar Babes, super interesting band, not unlike Atomic Kitten in that very few of the people that were in the band were in the band, and then when they reform, like 20 years later, they all look so different anyway. You've got no idea whether they were original members or not.
Okay. I missed the whole.
You were too busy with your credible music.
I'd never understood why they're called bands.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I ever call them a band, but
Okay.
yeah, artists, aren't they?
It's artists. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. They did have bands, though.
They
quite
had
often-
musicians.
I mean, Danish Pete toured with most of them,
Yes, he did.
including
That's why he's so
Girls
happy.
allowed.
the Girls Aloud. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, good.
Are you recording the podcast?
Yes.
Is the red line moving minutely? Looks like I can see a waveform. I think we're recording.
I think
Thank
we're
you.
okay. I think
Thank
we're
you.
good.
Thank you. Okay, let us then stampede to the super chats.
Girl groups, says Johnny T. Yes, okay, they're called girl groups.
Yeah.
But the other one was called boy bands. Oh, GGBB, girl groups, boy bands. I see the game they're playing.
Yeah, nothing. I mean, they were more manufactured in the 90s, weren't they? But there's nothing really new about it.
Oh no, they've been doing that since forever. Yeah.
Yeah. It is said that bands, as we know them, barely existed before the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show.
Yeah,
It
like
was
the Monkees
solo artists.
the Monkees were a put together band, but they were still a band. They had instruments and they played. That's what I consider a band. Called me old fashioned.
But again, if you look at, I think if you could have been in the studio when quite a lot of records went down.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
But yes, I agree, Dan.
Yes.
Bands are bands.
A band is a band.
But that's all aren't we at an interesting juncture for all of that? Because that thing that they call AI, like
Yes.
really, really good algorithms and exceptional computing power, has sort of happened. It's gone, it was this thing over there and we'll be scared of robots.
Yes.
And now it's like, holy shit, it's doing everything everywhere all the time.
Yeah.
Really clever software. I still don't want to call it AI because it's not.
It's not.
But of course, it is entirely changing our perception of all media, music included,
Yeah.
of all media. And it's a sea change in human cultural evolution, I would say,
Yeah.
until somebody turns the internet off. But
Yeah.
before then,
Before then.
yeah.
Oh. Also, R.I.P. Brian Wilson.
Oh,
That was did you ever see him?
no, I
I
didn't.
saw him at Hyde Park in Sydney.
Yeah.
Man alive. I mean, he wasn't doing a lot. He was at the piano,
Yeah.
and every now and then he'd chip in.
Yeah.
The band.
What a contribution.
Oh man,
What an amazing
Yeah,
contribution.
completely.
Rest well, Brian
Yeah.
Wilson.
Yeah.
And thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. On to the super chats tonight. Morley Robertson is first in. Hey Morley,
Hey,
great to
Morley.
hear from you, buddy. He says, leg ends, I just got a TC Vibra clone, which is the only rotary pedal I could find in my area. Any opinion on where it should go in my signal chain?
Let me just see what it is. Because I do not remember that one specifically.
While Dan's
Oh yes, okay. It's the that version that they did.
literally never seen it.
But you remember that all those when they put out the poly chorus, like from the Juno chorus, the synth one.
Yeah,
but
I remember the series and
that series. So it's
the,
one of those from those
the
series.
aesthetic change. If it's a standard rotary speaker simulator, and I say standard, i.e., it's not crossed with something else. If it's supposed to sound like a rotary speaker, we would tend to put it towards the end of your signal chain. So given that a traditional rotary speaker would be the last thing in your signal chain, right? So everything would go into the amp and the rotary speaker is connected to the amplifier via the speaker output. So in that sense, the traditional place for it would be right at the end of your signal chain, interestingly enough, after reverb. So one thing that the single rotary speaker people get very fizzy about, certainly if you're talking about a Fender Vibratone, for example, and by saying single rotating speaker, I mean in a Fender Vibratone and certain others, there's just one speaker around which a wooden drum rotates. But then if you get up into Leslie territory, something like, is it the 122, the famous model? I don't know the actual model names, but you would have that in the bottom. So you'd have a rotor going around the bass speaker, but then you'd have a rotating horn at the top. So more than one speaker. Anyway, what the Vibratone people get really fizzy about in an SRV sense is that the sound that the reverb makes when it's before the rotary speaker. So that's a good reason to do that. Failing that, given that it might be going into an amp that you're using reverb in, it's not a massive deal. Just put it somewhere near the end. But try it downstream as well. I mean, it is ultimately it's a modulation, and as you'll know from watching TPS, Dan really likes his phasers, flanges before overdrive.
That's right.
And sometimes chorus before overdrive.
Generally chorus after.
Yeah.
Yeah, like vibrato after.
So try it. Start with a traditional down the end, last in chain, and then move it up and see if you feel any different about it.
Yeah.
One thing that can happen when you move your modulations further up the chain, certainly if you put them before overdrive, is the effect of the modulation itself, frequency-wise, is focused a little bit.
Yeah.
So the overdrive will necessarily limit what's going into it and apply its own EQ. So you might lose some of the huge swings in bass and treble that you would get.
That's right. But
with those
sometimes that's a good thing, and sometimes it's not. Have a play. See what you like.
Certainly with a Vibe, for example, they can get crazy bassy.
Yeah.
Really, really bassy. So
The original ones. I remember one of the first London guitar shows when you were still with Guitar Buyer, and we'd had a whole bunch of vibes, and Charlie Chandler brought along his original vibe for me.
Oh, wow.
And I had the Mojo Tone and like at the time, all the best ones that you could get. This is like 20 years ago. Put the original one on, and the bottom end was just like, vroom. It was insane, but awesome.
Yeah, such a great sound, isn't it?
Yeah, really, really cool.
Such a great sound. Oh, apparently Sly Stone died as well.
Yeah, Sly Stone, that's right.
Wow, I obviously wrongly assumed that Sly Stone was long gone, but yeah, again, fantastic contributions.
Yep.
Fantastic contributions. K Cole 4001 says his favourite girl group was Warpaint. Remember
Okay, I've
Warpaint?
got to check out Warpaint.
Oh, awesome. The Iron Maidens, of course. Just
War
from
Paint,
pure,
Band.
brilliant band name.
Baby Metal. Have you seen them?
No.
I gotta show you some Baby
Is that a
Metal.
band?
It's a girl band, Japanese metal.
Yeah.
Girls, young girls,
Yeah.
like doing all the choreographed moves, but with epic metal, like real.
Right.
It's unreal.
Sounds intriguing. Super Mole Moose says gain is hotness, master volume is bigness. Or gain is the size of the tiger, master volume is the size of the cage. Discuss.
That's very good. Just going to interject with War Paint, not what I was expecting.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Oh, yeah, no, I think they've looked different
Okay.
from the War Paint I
Is that
remember.
like Kiss Unmasked?
Unless I'm thinking of somebody different, which is entirely possible.
Okay. But okay, let's back to the subject in hand. Discuss. I like it.
Let's take the tiger then.
Grr.
I wouldn't say that the cage is master volume. I would say
Master volume is the key to the cage.
gain is the tiger, and master volume is how much you poke him with a stick.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, no,
Good.
yeah. Any other analogies, Dan?
Yes.
Is it an analogy or is it a... Anyway, whatever.
So-
Someone come in and tell us. You don't have to use tigers. Pick a...
No, we're on tigers. So if gain is the sharpness of the tiger's teeth, the master volume is the sweet, sweet nectary hide of the bison that is biting into.
Okay.
Now, Catherine didn't like that. However, you were... Oh, no. I'm glad you missed it.
I was busy.
I'm glad you missed it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
pretty good.
It's fine. I'll give up with the. I'm sure we'll come up with something much more creative in a minute. But one thing I noticed, I played at a little festival last weekend on an outside stage, a small outside stage, but an outside stage nonetheless. And I took the full rock.
Check
rig,
it out.
100-meter carry to the
Unreal.
stage. 100-meter carry to the stage.
Did you have wheels?
No.
Oh, dude. So, proper farmer carry. Did you
I was like,
elbows
it's
in?
literally
yeah,
212
come on.
cabinet on the shoulder like that.
Awesome.
It was awesome. I tell you what, one of the things I love most about the whole shebang.
Yes.
Check out the mud splatter on the
Oh,
side
come
of the cab.
on.
Mud splatter on the cab.
Yeah, now your camper won't do that.
No, and don't get me started. Don't get me started. I heard a couple of sounds at that festival that made me physically angry. But you know, not to cast aspersions on Two Rock owners, but you don't see many Two Rock cabs splattered in mud. Is all I'm saying.
No, respect.
Yeah.
Michael,
Yeah,
respect.
I was pleased. Anyway, considering I had some worries about volume
Right.
I was worried about, getting told off for being too loud.
No problem.
No problem whatsoever. I was much louder than I normally am. And but what was
I bet
interesting?
it was heroic sounding.
It sounded good. It sounded good. It sounds bad on all the recordings because I am quite loud out front. Yes. But that is what it is. Compared to the other bands that I happened to listen to, I could not hear the guitars
No,
for reasons that you know.
I do know those reasons.
So anyway, volume aside, everything's so much cleaner outside.
Yeah. Okay, because we're not
Wow.
reflecting off anything.
The gain, it's like it felt clean even with loads of gain on.
Wow.
And I used
okay.
my 345 for the whole gig, and
I love that.
it was really great actually. I got another outdoor gig on this coming Saturday, and I'm tempted to take the Marshall, but
Talking about gigs,
yeah,
Danalogs has his first gig.
right. When is the Danalog's first gig?
Thursday, the 31st of July at the Vic in Swindon.
Swin Vegas. There you go. Swindon, UK, not Swiney Don, which I kept seeing all the way around Wales. Swindon.
Was were saying, "Don't you wish you were in Swanee
What's the pub actually called?
The Vic.
The Vic.
The Victoria Hotel, but it's called The Vic.
The
If you look
Vic.
at The Vic Swindon,
On, what did you say, Thursday night?
Thursday night, the 31st.
It's Friday Eve. It's the best night of the week.
Yeah.
Because
So this is kind of a, it's not,
Friday is such a good day for a hangover.
I agree, actually.
Yeah.
My best nights going out were always
Hangover
Thursdays.
on the company's time,
There
man,
you
not
go.
your own.
There you go. But did I show you my poster that I did? I probably was embarrassed to show you
Did you use AI to create it?
a little bit.
I don't want to see it.
Okay. Fair enough.
No, let me see. Oh, nice. That would have been hard to do in Illustrator.
Yeah,
Show the people. Have you actually got that suit?
pretty much. Let's see.
It's very cool. It's really groovy.
That looks great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really, really groovy.
We're getting photos and stuff done on the day and at the night, and I've got a friend coming down to take some photos. But for our first little foray into it,
Do it.
Be
I'll
fun.
be there. Thursday, the 31st of July.
are you really going to come?
I wouldn't miss it, mate.
Oh, mate, that's very
Yeah.
kind. Thank you.
Is Liv going to be your support act?
Yes, she is.
Yeah, cool. I thought you would do that.
Yeah.
That's great. Nice.
Yeah, that'd be really
Nice.
fun. Be really, really fun.
Good.
Oh, and sorry, Paul Stacey's just mixed the final track on the EP.
So it's going to be for sale at the gig.
That would be good. That would make sense to do that, wouldn't it? Yes, okay. It'll be there.
You've
Come
got
on. I've got
6
some time. I've
weeks.
got 6 weeks.
Yeah.
That's enough time.
You could
Right.
get a compact disc pressed.
Yes, right.
We can sell it through the TPS store.
Yay! That
What
would be
about
fun.
Yeah. Anyway, super chats. Mark Wanaskog, Malta Wanaskog, which is one of the best names we've ever had, says, "Have we talked about the Tone King Imperial pedal? We haven't, but we do have one. They sent us one, and
Yes.
they sent some Friedman stuff as well. So
And I've also been, I've got one at Bugger Lugs, and it's a very interesting thing.
So we've got some videos to shoot next week, so maybe we'll do it next week. But yes, Gene Yohung says we don't have a CD player. There will be downloadable versions of
Yes,
Dan's
of
EP
course,
as well.
of course.
But as we all know, you can't make any money from downloads unless you do billions. So it is nice to sell a CD or two. So
Yeah, when
even
you're at a
if you don't
gig-
have a CD player, buy a CD and keep it for posterity.
Yeah,
Or if you just don't like it at all, buy it for someone you don't like.
that's right. Because they make that CDs when you flick them,
Yeah.
get a bit
Sharpen
of
up the
wrist
edges.
in that,
God. Sorry, we've managed 2 super chats. Michael Giliberto, hello Michael.
Hello,
He says,
mate.
"Greetings legends, belated happy birthday to Catherine.
Yay!
No question today, so please dip into the chat for one. Before I go, a comment. One can do a lot with a rat and guitar controls. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
No
That's
arguments here.
No, absolutely.
That was my other observation about my rig. Too many damn gain stages.
Really?
Yeah, just not required.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll talk about that some other time. Thank you, Michael. Let's see if we can find a question in the chat then.
Universo Macadamia says, any goals of equipment for the near future, guitar, amps, etc.? I think
Who was that from, sorry?
from Universo Macadamia.
Okay.
Well, so Mick and I have just been on a journey because we've both had projects happening where we've been refining and working out what's needed. What I find interesting is it's a journey that never ends, because as you progress, your tastes change and what you want to achieve changes. But we've both slimmed down. I mean, slimming down for me still looks ridiculous, but my current board is probably the most compact board I've had in years. Funnily enough, though, I am coming across some things I'm going, I'd love it if I had X But but we'll see. We'll
It's
see.
completely material dependent, isn't it?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So our set on Saturday night is just a straight ahead rock set.
Right.
There's not really any requirement for anything other than a couple of nice gain sounds, or at least one nice gain sound, and a bit of delay.
Right.
Maybe a bit of rotary here and there, but it's just so simple.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what do you want to acquire then? I think that was the question, wasn't it? Anything?
I'm loving the 10-inch journey at the moment. But I'm thinking that was Catherine started that. I just want you to know the first giggle, right? So, there we go. There's a clip we can use. I'm really into the Princeton. I saw something. This is great little guitar vlog thing that I follow. He's an amp builder. And he was saying how much the Princeton has in common with the Tweed, with the Tweed Deluxe.
Right.
And I'm like, because there was something about the Princeton that I love, and it does remind me of that.
Was it a negative feedback thing?
It's something like that. I'll dig it out because it's really interesting. But like for example, there's no bright cap in the Silverface Princeton, right? It's bright, but it's not because of the bright cap. It's just the design. Blah blah blah. But having that EV speaker in there has just. I've always loved the sound of the amplifier, but now it's just become epic. I've got a couple of other speakers, and Gordon Rankin sent one over as well. His favorite 10-inch speaker. That I thought would be really interesting to try a few different ones because we haven't done a speaker shootout for a while. But I'm loving that 10-inch journey. So I'm very interested in. You've got a 2x12 here with a couple of golds as well.
210.
210, sorry.
My friend Alistair's got it at the moment.
Okay.
But we can get it back.
But because I've got a 212 with golds, I really want to hear the Matchless or the Dr. Z
with golds.
With golds, but either I want to hear what it was like with the 10s and the 12s, and just see because they're ostensibly made from the same material, same power thing. But
Let's do it straight. That'd be very interesting. The thing with speaker comparisons is you've always got to have some sort of relatively narrow brackets because everything matters. So you need to go, okay, let's keep this focused. What is this compared to this? See, what we have got down there is a 3x10 two-rock cab, the Joey cab. And
oh, wow.
Even though it would be a bit odd.
Impedance-wise?
No, I mean in terms of load 3 different 10s in there, collect them all up separately.
Okay.
And so it's not going to be bang on, but what it does mean is it's grounds for quick comparison and close mic sound.
Okay. I dig that.
Because obviously, once you get to room mic, the cab's not really...
The
cab's making a big difference with the room mic. It's not making a colossal difference with the super close mic.
I love that idea. That's a great idea. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. So that could work. And actually, have a listen to the 310. It's quite a good sounding thing.
Yeah. What was it? The Super that had... what's the amp that had 310s in?
Oh, Bandmaster.
Bandmaster, yeah.
And then there was others down the years... in homage to it. I got a 15 coming as well. I got a 2-rock 1x15 coming.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, so that should be good fun. Did we answer the question? Oh yeah, gear. You want to do some speakers?
Yeah, I want to refine my speaker choices. Because it might be that I go, what I'm finding with the Princeton is it is so much louder than the AC10. So it might be that I have a Matchless with a 2x10 or something in that range to give me the Voxy thing. Oh, I've got a little new Marshall combo at work, JCM 900 combo with the two different masters and reverb levels.
The 20-watt one.
The 20-watt one.
Yeah, we've got the head version out there.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
There's something about putting a Marshall logo on an amplifier that makes it sound a certain way.
They sound like Marshalls though.
They do,
I
they
don't
sound
care
like
what anyone
Marshalls.
says. They sound like Marshalls.
Yep, it's really
They
cool.
do. They do. I don't have any gear acquisition desires at the moment, which is an unusual thing to say, but I don't really. There is a Neve stereo EQ that we might acquire this week,
Oh,
which I'm much more interested in. I'm doing
Catherine looks shocked.
Indignant face.
I'm doing some videos at Anderton's with Lee because Pete's away, so I'm going to
cool.
stand in and revisit some old times. Anyway, what I might do is try and convert my fee into
Fine.
gear.
Fine.
How many videos have you done with Lee, Daniel?
Oh, that's true.
Yes, many.
Yeah. You had a whole channel. Oh, that was with Pete.
Yeah, so that'll be fun.
You gonna wear the shirt?
Don't know. I think I'll wear a Mary Spender t-shirt.
Okay.
Who is asking if you'll pay for her studio.
Okay.
I'll just leave that there.
Okay.
Good. Mick, how is the 2203 treating you? Says Duncan Plexico. Any ONS tubes, cap swaps or circuit tweaks lately? Always curious. Peace. I didn't buy the 2203. I bought the Plexi reissue, which is not compared to late 70s 2203, a bit different, but not like colossally different compared to a JCM 800. All gets a bit confusing, but any tweaks? We had the bright cap removed when I bought it, but I think I'm going to put one back in.
Different value though.
Yeah. Just to give it a little bit more aggression in the trebles, and I mean, whenever I plug it in, it's that sound. It's that sound. I love it. Tubes and stuff, haven't really got that far with it. I'll only ever change anything like that, speaker, tubes, whatever, if I think there's something wrong.
Yeah.
So I'll never go, I think this could be a bit better.
Yeah, like on a tone safari.
Yeah,
trying through a bunch of different stuff.
I tend not to get into that. So the reason we took the bright cap out of the 87X is because it's just awful at low volume. It's unusably horrific. And it has no negative effect taking it out, in my opinion. I mean, the dyed-in-the-wool 87X people would say it does, but for me, it's just universally better with the bright cap out of it. And that's not the case with the 100 watt. It kind of wants to be in there a little bit, I think. So trial and error.
Right.
Trial and error. But the problem with a 100 watt Marshall is you don't get to turn it up.
Rarely.
Yeah. And that was a completely obvious thing to say. So getting it in its happy environment where it's really working well is not something that happens every day. So yeah. I am thinking about taking it this Saturday, actually. Because we're doing like Highway to Hell and You Shook Me All Night Long.
Oh, okay.
All Right Now. And it's quite a classic rock set for me. And I'm like, yeah, that's what that should be.
Yeah. So funny. I was playing along to some Akadaka on the weekend. Just
so tight, isn't it?
Oh, what a flipping band!
Yeah, and Malcolm and Angus just like
there's like
two
no
halves of the same thing.
no
aren't they?
phasing between them. They're just so unbelievably on it.
They're brilliant,
Yeah.
totally brilliant. So I've been using this guitar actually for most of it, the rock stuff.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that'll work.
Just works.
Yeah,
it just
completely.
really works. I mean, in none of the gigs I'm doing have any requirement for neck pickup.
Right.
So it is a bit of a fight in E flat, but because we do AC/DC and other fairly screamy rock songs,
Right.
the singer is well in his 50s now, so
Oh, okay.
we do lose a semitone.
It makes a massive difference that
Yeah.
when we were doing like 5-6 nights a week, we were in E flat
Yeah.
because it's like,
Well, it's predominantly a 3-piece as well, so the whole
Oh,
sound.
yeah, okay.
There are keys, but it's predominantly a 3-piece, and the whole sound of the band is just fatter.
right.
Anyway, sorry, I'm talking about me again.
Paul Matilovich says, anything ADDC is good.
Oh, I know this one. Tom Killory. Hey, Tom, how are you? Love the show. Do you have favourite SG pickups?
I do, yes, completely. This is a PAF, and that is a later 60s
T-top.
T-top, which I think there must have been...
Is it actually a PAF?
That's actually a PAF.
Not a patent number.
PAF.
Is it? That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the T-top. And I think what's happened is that was replaced at Gibson.
Yeah.
But they are my favourite.
You didn't love them, did you, from the start?
No,
Like,
but it
being
wasn't.
honest?
But it wasn't the pickups. It was the guitar. There was something when I put heavier strings on it. So what happened originally with this guitar? I got it. Had light strings on it. It was great. I put my flippin' Dan things on there, and progressively over time, the guitar got duller and duller. And I was trying to work out what was going on. And then it turns out that there was so this guitar had a heel repair, which is the only reason I could afford this guitar. And it wasn't done brilliantly. And so when the heavy strings came on, things started to move in the neck pocket. And what was amazing was that I took it to Matt and Monty's and said, please help me. I'm at my wit's end. And so where these screw holes are, they're just on that crack line. So he heated up some epoxy and injected it under pressure. And while moving the neck around, he said, it came out of the gaps everywhere.
Well,
The guitar just went,
bing.
oh!
Amazing.
So who knew that actually connecting to the neck, to the body of the guitar,
makes a difference.
makes a difference. But now, I mean, I woke up this morning and I just had the headphones on and I'm just playing, I'm just going, I just cannot believe that I'm the custodian of this instrument for a while. But I need to find out who makes these pickups. So Robin has loaned me his 64 SG, which is a 64 special conversion. So the special had the two P90s in it, and it's been converted with humbuckers. So they're not PAFs or anything, but they sound freaking unreal. So I'm going to find out who makes those. But Monty's makes a beautiful PAF pickup. OX4, Mark from OX4 makes a really great PAF pickup. The throwbacks are wonderful. There's a lot of them around.
I've always, well, I say always, I've found that SG can take a bit more pickup than Les Paul.
Yeah.
Personally speaking. So one of the things I dislike is that big bloke, loads of bass,
Yep.
too much low mid. And certainly in more modern guitars, particularly if they're a bit heavier and they have a different resonance. I found SGs where I had a Derek Truck Signature SG for a minute, and that didn't like super vintage pickups.
Okay. It wanted a bit
It was
more
better
heft.
with a bit more pickup.
Yeah.
And by a bit more pickup, I mean something slightly away from a super traditional PAF spec. So it might be more asymmetrically wound coils. It might be a little extra wax potting. That's the other thing. The more vintage I went on the pickups, the more it squealed. And I've never had a Les Paul or never known a Les Paul intimately that had a squealing bridge pickup.
Here's a little thing for you to think about. Whenever someone says to you, it's only the pickups that make any difference. Think about this. SG, Les Paul, 335. Pickups, wood, it's all the same.
Well, not the wood in a 335.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is it's mahogany,
Yeah.
you know. I don't think those guitars could sound more different if they tried.
Yeah. You know the argument, though. The micro differences in the pickups themselves and the distance from the bridge. Yeah, I know. It's
Okay.
bollocks. So I think SGs can take a little more pickup, personally speaking.
Yeah.
Which is not something I would say about. Normally, I like really weak pickups, or at least very vintage pickups.
Yeah.
In very resonant guitars. But yeah, I found SG with a bit of extra pickup can really rock nicely.
Seventh World says, I put throwbacks on my Les Paul. Unreal. Best humbuckers ever. Yeah, I hear really wonderful things about
Everyone says throwbacks are great, don't they?
And they were making amazing pedals before they were making pickups. And they're great people.
It's so hard though, because you get two guitars that are ostensibly the same. One might really love that pickup set, the other one not so much.
Yeah.
And it's as we both know, it's a painful journey.
Yeah.
Going through all of that.
It's a painful journey when you can tell the difference.
But not only that, then if your standard playing environment is this, and then all of a sudden that playing environment changes, it all changes again.
Yeah, completely.
So, yeah, you've really got to live with the stuff, haven't you? And you've got to, yeah. Oh. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck. Ran's there. Hey, Ran.
Hey, buddy.
Good to hear from you, buddies. Got put in three questions. D and M and B and K and R. Thank you. He says, the trip to the UK was fire. I came back with a gorgeous SG from Andertons and an Argo Deluxe from TPS. Thank you, buddy.
Oh, awesome, mate.
What song should I learn with that specific combo?
With the SG and Argo.
Now, it's not strictly an Octafuzz solo, but because of the way he plays and his particular approach to the guitar and the kind of sound he uses, I'm going to say stick a slide on and try and learn I think it's called Gravity. And it's not the John Mayer Gravity, it's Gravity by the Tedeschi Trucks Band.
Oh.
With a guest singer whose name I don't know. I'm really sorry. I don't know if it might be. Anyway, and apologies, I don't know the guest singer's name. And let's face it, if you get a guest singer into the Tedeschi Trucks Band,
They have to be fire.
better be pretty good, right?
Yeah.
And just cop some of Derek's licks through that song. It is so good.
Yeah. I've been listening to... I first became aware of Derek, I think he was 17. I got his first album. And he had it from when he was a kid. He just had it.
Well, there's videos of him like blues fetus.
Yeah, that's right.
all over the-
Blues fetus. Yeah, right. But there's an album, one of my favourite albums he did is an album called Songlines. The first notes you hear on that album are just, they're so wonderful. So I would say if you grab that and have a listen to those first few notes that come out, but at the end of that album, I think it's the last track, it's like this gospel thing, and it's not purely an octave fuzz, but it does have a lot of harmonic in the thing.
There's something about his attack to the note that makes it sound super vocal, and that's one of the things that the octave up gives you. It gives you that sort of, especially in the clean octave blend style circuit, it gives you that very vocal texture.
Yeah, but also depending on your the stuff that you like, there's some other SG players out there. One of my favourite. I'm not suggesting you go and learn an Alan Holdsworth tune, but go and have a listen to some of his stuff he did with Soft Machine when he was playing his SG. The tone that the man had was just freaking miraculous. He always had great tone, obviously, but those early days, and it was a much drier sound than what you're used to hearing with Alan. It was, I mean, harmonically, he did all the work in the world, but just tonally, just unreal. And there's another cat, Ollie.
Dylan Adams?
No, Ollie Holsall.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway. There's loads. I mean, Angus is low-hanging fruit, but you could do a lot worse.
Gareth Ware is telling us that it's Gabe Dixon singing on Gravity,
Right.
who may or may not be one of the keys players in the Tedeschi Trucks band.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Scott Gaylor says the SG era of Alan was epic. It really was. It really was. It was so direct and dry and beautiful, and you could just hear the man's heart. No, really wonderful. Ollie Housel, that's right, says Johnny T. Another, just wow, astonishing guitar player.
Souls the Goal says, Dan and Mick, have you developed your slide playing at all?
Well, every time, so we're doing.
Dan sent me an image the other day. Says, I've been playing smashed slide on the floor.
And playing slide. With every note I hear you going, nah. Yeah. And I'm going, this sucks.
Every couple of years, I'm like, right, I'll do it. I buy a different slide than the one I bought 2 years ago. And it's like, nah.
Yeah.
It's a different game.
It is so... You know what makes it hard? Is because you know what really good slide playing sounds like.
The mechanics of it are all different.
Yeah.
I think you have to have the guitar high to play slide to play it properly. I think you've got to be up here.
Right.
Because you need... Yeah, like down here it's like, that doesn't work. Don't get me wrong, there are people that have done it, but... Yeah, no. Just can't get the intonation. At all.
Talking of slides, you should wish Joey a happy birthday.
Happy birthday,
yes.
Joey Landreth. Yesterday, I believe, was it? Saturday. Nearly yesterday. If we had a time zone, that's nearly yesterday. Happy birthday, Joey. You're probably not watching, but everybody in the world, please wish Joey Landreth a happy birthday on Saturday.
We were messaging on the weekend, and he's there with his 1-year-old baby daughter. Can't believe she's one. And he just looks like he's in a really good place. I was just like, he looks so happy, and I love that guy. He's so great.
Yeah, obviously no arguments from me. Sorry, I'm trying to do two things at once and failing at all of them. Which brings me to a challenge, says Ranzer.
Ooh.
Ranzer says, an idea for a challenge: recreate songs or records while using a specific combination of guitar, pedal and amp drawn at random. That's excellent. If only we could, because we get done for copyright. But
yeah.
I love that.
That's a great idea.
Pull songs out of the wrong gear.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea. It could be one of those ones where we play all the wrong notes and everyone laughs. That would be quite good. And finally from Ran, by the way, the dried dates are good for years, so no worries. Oh, that's good to know.
Oh, brilliant.
That's good to know. Thanks, buddy. Ran came to an experience day and brought us a lovely box of dried dates.
Yeah, they're really fantastic.
They're magic. Chris W says, Chris with a K, W with a W says, my amp is set up for high gain, but I like to dabble in bluesy rock. A young Gibbons, he says. Can you recommend a low medium gain overdrive that plays nice with boosts and fuzzes? Something dynamic with guitar volume cleanup. Yes. Mythos Chupacabra.
Oh, yes. That is a hit. It's a swing and a hit. That's a great shout.
Mythos Chupacabra, especially if you like Billy Gibbons.
Yep.
It's so reminiscent of that general gain texture. Yeah, you could. One of the shows we will do next week is Ultimate Underdrive, which somebody has suggested, which I think is a great shout.
Okay.
So basically, we set up an amp with plenty of gain, and then we use pedals to underdrive it.
Okay.
And what are the important elements of those pedals? Obviously, number one is that it needs a master volume. But then in addition, what about EQ?
Yeah.
What about gain? What about clipping?
Yeah. Compression.
What
anything.
is going to get... Because the point of saying that is that if you've got your amp set for high gain, it might be that you could use an underdrive to bring it back from high gain into bluesy rock territory. Now, what do we mean by underdrive?
So we're reducing the input to the amp, but when we do that, that's going to clean the amp up because we're not limiting as hard, so we're not clipping as hard. But then we can also do things like we can then add distortion from the pedals to bring, now that we've reduced the volume, now we can bring the distortion level up as well. There's a bunch of different ways that you can do it. But yeah, the underdrive is basically using a pedal to control the amount of distortion going into an amplifier that's cranked.
There you go. There you go. Johnny T and a few other people are saying, isn't the Chupacabra a clone of the Red Llama? I don't think it's a clone as such, but it does use the same... That long op amp.
Yeah.
That looks like a centipede in op amp form.
Yeah. It's
Or
like
at
a
least
dozen different stages all in.
Half a centipede in op amp form. And I think interesting because there's no like diodes or anything like that.
No,
I think
it's
it's
just
all in the
cascaded.
transistor. Yeah. So it shares that in common with the Red Llama. Whether the rest of the circuit is similar, I don't know. But there's a few that do that.
Yeah. The very first pedal that Thorpe ever made for me, before he was Thorpe, I asked him to build me a clone of an old Red Llama because I couldn't find one. It's such a cool sound.
Yeah.
Such a cool sound.
There's half a one in the old Camel Toe up there.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Supposedly a Red Llama, but they never... When you put two pedals together, it never quite captures the absolute of the original, does it? When there's two pedals in one thing.
So Gordon Rankin, g'day mate, he says, but isn't there a loss of tone with the lower volume? So yeah, there is. And this is one of the challenges by having a pedal when you're reducing that input. What are the things that are going to make it sound okay?
Yeah. Yeah. What does the pedal need to add as well as take away?
That's
I
exactly
guess.
right. Yeah.
Yes.
Dustin Thesis says, I believe Billy himself has been known to use a Chupacabra.
Oh, there we are.
There you go.
There we are. Wadey 1960 CS says the perfect underdrive isn't a drive, it's a G7. We will absolutely have one of those on there because that is a great shout.
Yeah.
Good. Right. Sorry. Moving swiftly along. Hope that helps, Chris. Andrew R. Hello, Andrew R.
G'day, mate.
Hello, gents. On a recent VCQ, someone asked, is any vintage gear you want to try? Is there any vintage gear you want to try? Dan's quick reply was all of it. Was there ever a piece of vintage kit which fit your style, but you tried it and you just couldn't connect?
Yes. A Gretsch Country Gentleman, an old one. And so the first one I tried was just, couldn't believe that was a production guitar at one point. But apparently those old Gretsches did have a, shall we say, a quality control issue, because then years later I played another one and it was one of the best guitars I've ever played in my life. But when I first played a really old Gretsch, it was like I was bitterly disappointed.
Yeah.
But then when you find the good ones, they're amazing.
That's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Down to the thing.
Oh, I was with Charlie Birchall when I was doing a rig for him years ago, and he was pulling out his White Falcons, and I was just...
Who does he play with? Simple Minds?
Simple Minds.
Yeah.
And what was really interesting with those old Gretsches, with the good ones, the sound was almost modern. It was almost the clarity and the bottom end and the chiminess to it. It was almost like a something that a lot of modern guitar makers are going after. But it just, I mean, it's still warm and everything as well, but they just had this beautiful clarity to them.
Were they Dynasonics? So like the humbucking pickups rather than the single coil ones?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Such an interesting pickup, that, because the DC readings are super, super, super low, aren't they?
Oh, are
Like
they?
crazy low,
I don't know
I think.
anything about them, really.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Oh, okay. That's very interesting.
Yeah, and that is one of the things that is said that results in them being so chimey sounding.
That really low output impedance. Yeah.
Do you mean with modern guitars very high fidelity? Is that what
Yeah,
you mean?
yeah.
That's interesting you say that. I noticed that.
Yeah.
There's a mid-range, I don't want to say bias, there's a mid-range presence in vintage guitars that I think is what draws you and I to them,
Yeah.
that is not there in a lot of modern guitars.
Yeah. I get it completely.
Yeah.
Because is it the... it's not the nasty frequency, but it's the frequency that will get you heard in a mix. But if you're stood there by yourself going, check me out, it's like, ugh. And I think a lot of modern guitars have eked away at that frequency.
Yeah, interesting. Interesting.
Oh, Jeff McElwain has joined the chat. Hello, mate.
Jeff. Hello, Jeff. Hope you're well, buddy.
I think I'm going to go up and spend a day with Jeff. He's doing a masterclass
Great.
somewhere. I'm going to go and hang out with him for the day.
Nice.
And Andy Wood and Chris Buck are doing a class together as well, which will be really fun.
That'll be a good day. That'll be a good day.
So funny. Chris put this post up on Facebook. He goes, oh, this is going to be amazing. He says, Andy Wood is such a frightening guitar player. I'm just frightening. So come and hang out. So great.
Vintage gear that I didn't like or didn't gel with, not really. I think if you pick up a vintage instrument, whether that be amp, guitar or pedal, what you can't really expect is to do your thing and for it to follow.
Yes, that's a very good way of putting it.
So you kind of have to play in its game.
Yeah.
And if you do that, and that's why you acquire it, then I think, and that goes for new gear too, then it's got much more chance of working. But very briefly, I distinctly remember buying my first Les Paul, which was certainly not a vintage Les Paul, it was an 80s Les Paul. But just taking it along to the gig that night, plugging it into my amp and expecting it to do the same thing as my Strat, but just look like a Les Paul. And obviously I just got it completely wrong. And so I stayed with that guitar a few weeks and got rid of it after that. And, but then as you get a bit older and you know what a Les Paul does well, or at least you have a reason to explore that, then it makes much more sense to do it. One thing I never liked forever was tweed amps.
Oh,
just
interesting.
too farty, too quiet, too not bassman. Bassman was, kind of loud enough, but I had a few, at least two 59 bassmans that I couldn't get enough volume out of when I was gigging younger. So, because we were idiots. But just farty, scrappy, nasty sounding, like small dogs that are constantly barking. That's what I thought tweed amps were. And then a few years goes by, and then you're like, oh, that's what that's for.
Right.
And then you realise what that's for, and it is just the most glorious thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's very rarely the gear, it's usually what you're expecting of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would say about that. That's what I would say. G Barge, hello G. Hello mates, he says, I'm slowly learning the Red Wing. Thank you for buying one, G.
Thank you, buddy.
And I'm enjoying the hoodie, but I'm already very familiar with the incredible care and kind words in the packaging.
Thank you.
Catherine says thank you. Thanks and love to all at TPS. Thank you, Greg. We appreciate that, buddy. And obviously, ongoing with the US, de minimis is still active. So if you're in the US, you can still buy $800 worth of stuff per person per day in the US from the UK. So
Per person per day. I like it.
keep going.
Yeah, great. Yeah, thanks
That's a lot
everyone.
of t-shirts. Yeah. That situation may change, but it's currently all good.
Yeah.
And has been for a while. Peter Geo. Hello, Peter. He says, hello from Dublin.
Oh, g'day, mate.
I'm looking at a Vox AC4 hand-wired to go with my 57 Champ. I love 5-watt amps for recording.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, this is a great question. Any thought on the Vox hand-wired versus regular version amplifiers? I preferred the Chinese PCB AC30 over the hand-wired one
Right.
because I couldn't crank the hand-wired one. And I am absolutely convinced I would have preferred the hand-wired one if it was open,
Yeah.
singing and beaten in.
Yeah. And so that's application is everything.
Yeah.
The little Chinese AC15 that we have also has reverb in it. And it's a fantastic sounding reverb.
It's a really great amp.
It's wonderful.
Well, you heard it in Friday's show. It
Yeah.
just sounded great.
Yeah. So, application. Is this an amp that you're going to be out giving
Recording.
love and... Oh, you're recording.
Yeah.
Recording. Okay. So, interestingly, I think as soon as you start getting the amp to a point where the harmonic content is being heard, I think that's arguably where you'll hear the difference. I would... You don't know because it changes from amp to amp, but I think there's a higher probability if it's been hand wired with and tested and worked in and all that stuff. I think you've got a higher probability out of the box of that thing when it's working sounding epic. And I'll just say though, hard to go wrong either way. I think they'll be wonderful for recording, but the hand-wired one, it's interesting because the AC4, it's such a simple circuit. There's so little in there. I find that's when the components really matter. I mean, they always matter, but the fewer components that are in there, the more effect they're going to have on the sound. And so I think that's where the hand-wired version will come into play.
I would say as a point of relatively widespread research, personally, at this point, all my favourite amps I've ever played have been mostly hand-wired.
Right.
And by that, don't necessarily mean point to point. So by hand-wired, we mean, or I always mean anyway, like a vintage Marshall or Fender on the turret board with fewer components, fewer stuff in the amp.
Yeah.
Again, all my favourite amps have got less stuff in them. And I don't know that there is any truth in that, and I'm not suggesting it as any sort of electrical truth or measurable phenomena. I'm saying it purely as a point of personal experience. All my favourite amps and the ones I choose to play are predominantly hand-wired.
Yeah.
And single channel.
Yeah. Now, if you were building production boards with modern manufacturing techniques, but every single one of those amps was taken out, then tested and tweaked and made sure it was perfect, because that's generally what happens with the hand-wired thing. There's a lot more hands-on listening time with those amplifiers to make sure that the guys that are building them, they know what they sound like when they're working properly. I think most of the production amplifiers that thousands upon thousands are being made are made by people who don't really, they may have testing and stuff, and of course they have testing, but they're, I think...
Well, they're designed for manufacturing mass, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's like the thing has to be designed so that it can be put together by anybody on a production line, which is not to be negative about it. It's to say that it needs to be built. What was Henry Ford's quote? I can't remember, but Paul Reed Smith was rumoured to have said once, "The last thing I want in my factory is any guitar builders."
Yeah, okay. Guitar players.
It's builders.
Guitar builders. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's probably a lie, and I don't want to land Paul in it. But the point is, if you're manufacturing something and it's this person's job to do that, that's what you want them to do. the thing needs to be designed within a certain tolerance so that it is cookie cutterable.
Yeah.
Same as fenders back in the day, right?
Yeah.
So with that, as Dan alludes, you don't get the testing at every stage. And then, of course, there's all the variables when you get out into the world. I'm just learning, doing some research on the brown box product. I'm just learning how vital mains voltage is.
Oh, yeah.
Which sounds, it sounds totally obvious to say, doesn't it? But when you grow up in a country like the UK, where the mains system is pretty good generally, not universally good, but pretty good generally compared to lots of other countries I've been, you kind of take it for granted.
Yeah.
You plug into the wall and you're going to get something close to 240. But as we know, there can be significant swings in that.
Yeah, and
So-
that makes a massive difference. Actually, we have one of the brown boxes that we can
Yeah.
have a go at
That's
that
what I've
with.
been doing the research for.
Yeah.
But just to say that those modern mass-produced amps have to be made to be able to deal with all of that.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah. Anyway, we're probably digging ourselves into a hole. All
Have
that
fun.
said,
Let us know how you get on.
all that said, some of the amps we use absolutely all the time here. Deluxe Reverb, the
Yep.
Princeton,
Yep.
the AC-15,
Yep.
just straight off the shelf, modern, non-hand wired
And they sound
PCB
fantastic.
amps, and they sound great.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah.
But if we could choose two amplifiers that would be behind us when we film, that would be
Well, that one there.
that one there and the matchless.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway. Go for the hand wired, Peter, because I don't think they're that much more expensive, are they? For the AC4.
Mm.
Do it. Reeves Electro Guitar Pedals, Marcus.
Hello, Marcus.
How are you? He says, evening tarsals. That's a foot reference, isn't
A
it?
metatarsal.
Yeah.
Yes. Very good.
I'd love to see an Is the Rat Still the Best Rat episode. You've done it on the Blues Break Air and the Distortion Plus. It's a great format. Love you guys. Have some wines. Cheers, bud.
That is a fantastic idea, and yes, we'll do that.
We'll do it.
Because we've had a few launches. Jam have done their new Super Rat
Yeah.
thing. Keeley have got their Super Rat thing.
Have we
There's
got
lots
one?
of Super Rats? I'm sure we do, but if not,
Yeah, let's do that.
yeah, that's a great show.
That is a great show. It's so interesting, the Rat. It's, one of those things that is utterly ubiquitous.
Yep.
They must have made a gazillion, billion, squillion of them. They're everywhere, and therefore they're so everywhere, you sort of ignore them. We do. So, yes, we should do that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Marcus. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Joseph Castor. Hello, Joseph. He says, hello, fellow fuzz fanatics. Hello, fellow fuzz fanatics. I'm a fuzz face guy, but I just tried the new replica Rotor Sound Mark III. My God, it's what I've always been looking for.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Any other solar sound, colour sound stuff to check out? Yeah, all of it. I mean, it's a mixed bag.
Yeah, so it's one thing, this is really interesting. If we're allowed to include vintage pieces, so we picked this up when we did the show with
Anthony Macari.
and so we picked this up. It's a really fantastic thing. We also had one that had a master volume on the side. Do we still have that somewhere, or has that gone back? There was like a chicken head knob on the side.
I don't think we had a colour sound one that had that, did we?
Oh, it might have been. Okay. But anyway, this thing sounds great. But this is also an original Supertone bender from, I want to say the late 60s. But this is like an early muff. And it's quite unique in the tone bender world. And it sounds unreal. So that's definitely one to look out for. And they're not as expensive as the normal 3 transistor tone benders. You can find them for not, I mean, they're not cheap, but that is a really interesting take on a
I
muff.
can remember you could just pick that stuff up for nothing because
Yeah.
nobody wanted it. Mad. But you're welcome to the world outside of Fuzzface. And, get ready for a bit of a journey because there's so many takes on that circuit.
Yeah.
What we would both suggest you try. So you're talking about Mark III tone bender, right? That's when you start to get into really, really fuzzy, fizzy fuzz. Yeah?
Super fuzzy, fizzy fuzz.
Mark I tone bender, kind of distortion and then some. Aggressive, mid-rangey distortion and then some. Mark II adds the third transistor, does it? Or maybe they were all 3 transistors and the 1.5 was 2.
So, no, yeah, so the 1.5 was 2, but the rest of them were 3 because they were trying to get rid of the input impedance problem by using the first transistor to be basically a buffer.
But by the time you get to Mark III, you're into that quite mid-scoopy,
that's it.
super fuzzy type sound. And what's interesting about that is what then happens with all the boutique makers and other modern fuzz makers is you quite often get them with mid-range controls. So they'll do something in the mids, which gives you your mids back. And wasn't that a switch on the old Big Muff? Didn't that have that? Or various Big Muffs had that?
Yeah, so they had a switch that would take the tone circuit out, bypass it completely, and what's interesting about that, and it happens with any tone stack, there seems to be always a notch in the mids,
right?
And when you switch it out, you get everything and more mids in, and it's so good. It's so good.
So yeah, get into some of that. And the great news is, whether you buy new or whether you go onto reverb.com, you could go on a fuzz odyssey and just buy and sell a few things and have a taste, basically, isn't it?
We should do a show.
Fuzz odyssey.
100 fuzzes in 60 minutes, and just 100 fuzzes in 100 minutes, and just like, even like 10 seconds of each fuzz.
Well, that's going to happen.
Bang through them. That would be brilliant fun.
That's going to happen. So any other solar sound, color sound stuff to check out? All of it, really. It's so varied, Joseph. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And then there's Mark IVs as well, which is even fuzzier. Like kind of, I always associate the Mark IV sound with even more mid scoop. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, get Philly boots.
Yeah, that's really fun.
And I guess you just got to pick stuff up and see if it works, and if it doesn't, flog it and all of that. There's no substitute for actually hearing it on the end of your guitar and your amp. You can watch all the videos in the world, but until you actually get it there, that's when the understanding begins.
Completely.
Barry Thomas. Hey, Barry, how are you, bud? Good to hear from you.
Huzzah.
He says, I would like to give a shout out to my cable tester and multimeter. It would have been much more difficult to troubleshoot on the 20 bits on my board without them, 20 plus. Do you have any troubleshooting tips? So, right, something happens, something stops working. Where do you start?
Unplug the guitar from the board into the amp. So process of elimination. Start and then work your way backwards. If the amp's working fine, guitar's working fine, fantastic. Then start at the last pedal. Unplug the input to it from your board, plug the guitar into that, make sure that's fine, then work all the way down the chain. It is one of those things that having a switcher does make that sort of troubleshooting much easier.
Because you know instantly what loop the problem is.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's always a cable.
It's always a cable.
First.
Yep.
And then it's power. One thing just to check is just a quick visual check that your inputs are inputs and your outputs are outputs. Many of the days we'll connect up and get going for a show and realise that the inputs and outputs are flipped. So no sound from that loop. So that's, again, another 101 thing to check. But Dan's point about start at the amp and then work amp side back is a great way to do it.
Yeah.
And also it's methodic, and it doesn't, because obviously if you're in a time pressure situation, you can go into a slight panic mode. So having a method is really good, because you can just methodically process of elimination exactly as he said,
Yeah.
and not start, you know,
In a blind panic. And
which we have all done.
Yeah. 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 It happens. Just, okay. Guitar straight to amp. Let's make sure that the amp is working. Okay, amp's working, start going backwards. And then you'll find it, you'll fix it, away you go.
Good luck.
Yes, mate.
Eog Hang 81, and I'm sorry if Eog Hang is one of those Irish names that we're not pronouncing right, like Adrian or something.
What's the SIOA?
Siobhan.
Okay. Fine.
Everyone in Ireland, hands up if you don't know anyone called Siobhan.
Is it a popular? Okay. Right.
It's a very popular name.
Right.
Someone will say, I don't know anyone called Siobhan. Anyway, Eog Hang 81 says, I've got a Hendrix Mini fuzz face and signature Strat. When I set the fuzz and then try to clean up with my guitar, the volume knob, it goes from fuzz to clean and a huge drop in volume when just turning the knob from 10 to 9. That is the nature of fuzz faces, and that's why we love them so much. Now, I'm going to guess that you're playing in a low volume environment because what will happen in a low volume environment is you've got the fuzz and it's at an audible level and it sounds great, right? And one of the things that a fuzz face will do is add tons of bass, like especially if you go down there. And that in a low volume environment is a huge proponent of the sum total of the volume that you're hearing. So it sounds louder, right? Once you put that Strat back to 9, you're absolutely right. The fuzz all goes away. It cleans up. It's beautiful. It's a lot of Jimmy's clean sounds were that. You can really hear it clearly, I believe. So in a low volume environment, that drop in volume is going to take you from kind of audible, so you're not annoying everybody in the house, to I just can't bloody hear it. And that unfortunately is the case. What happens when you get loud and when the amp is on the edge of overdrive, the fuzz will hammer the amp into a bit of limiting and more overdrive and compression and all of that. And that's one of the great things about what a fuzz does. When you put the Strat back to 9 again, most of the vast majority of the fuzz goes away, and the amp is able to go, take a breath and be alive again. And actually there's plenty of volume. So it really is volume dependent with the fuzz. What could you do to mitigate it? You could have a boost after, try that. So when you turn the fuzz off, turn the boost on to give you a bit more. But I'm going to guess that it's an issue with low volume. If it's not, if this is happening to you in your band, I think there's a psycho acoustic effect that's happening. If you ever turn your fuzz on in a sound check, everyone goes, no. Because of the extra bass, and because it's aggressive and because it's massive, it sounds 10 times louder. I promise you, if you get a dB meter and you measure how much louder it is, it really isn't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bit louder, obviously, but the transient of your clean sounds will still be loud. But because you take in all that fuzzy away, because you're taking all that bottom end away, it sounds so much quieter. So I think it's a volume thing.
Yeah.
If I'm honest.
And the other thing to try is, and it won't have the same effect because the volume thing is very important. And when you get rid of all that bottom end, the amp then has more headroom to play with, and so it still has volume. What you could try is an amp-like overdrive after the fuzz.
Yeah.
Set so that it's still clipping, but in a not a crazy distorted way, in an amp-like way, where it's dynamic, and then experiment with the fuzz going into that. I think that's a
great shout.
That's something that's worth having it, because if volume, we can't all play at loud. I wish we all could, and I think we all should at least be able to at least have the experience and know what that's like, wrestling that bear to the ground. And it's a beautiful thing. And fuzz in that environment is a truly magical thing. The closest thing to using that sort of reaction that the amplifier has is with a lower gain ampy-like gain stage after the fuzz. So give it a go.
Give it a go. Do. A lot of people saying Got a Fuzz is so much hard work. Kevin the Just is saying that, I think, and a few others. It really is. Of the I've got 4 bloody bands and 4 set lists at the moment, and I think there's fuzz in one song.
Okay.
For me, as a massive fan of fuzz.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because distortion does all the rest of it. So obviously other genre of music will feature it heavily, and if you're doing any Hendrix you want it, but we're not. We're just doing standard rock, and the fuzz just doesn't really fit. The only place it fits sometimes is in some slightly more aggressive. We did a Supergrass song at the weekend.
Nice.
And I turned the fuzz down and I used that as a rhythm guitar sound, and that sounded pretty cool.
Yeah.
But generally not really. Not really. Good.
This is interesting. We're having a couple of guys saying that they have issues with volume. We need to sit down and have a think about how we do this. But I think there's some wisdom that us and some of our friends can impart. And we'll look at some clever ways that you can deal with it. Because it is it's definitely a thing that you need to be aware of. But it's also something that you need to be able to use when it is appropriate. Volume is such an important thing as a guitar player. Not used to be obnoxious. You need to be able to be appropriate in a band setting.
Yeah.
But also, if you're too loud. And I think...
With a caveat.
But I think most of the time in your heart of hearts, this is a bit on the edge. But and
trouble is your point of perceiving that is often not the same as your level of audibility. I think there's definitely a discussion around where do we even start with this? Where do we even start with this?
Exactly.
One thing you'll hear me or Dan do if you come and watch us play live is there will be at least a 25 to 30 dB swing in the amount of volume we put out at any one time.
Yep.
From rhythm to full-on solo. And that sometimes flies in the face of what you would think you would need in a band, because a lot of people just want unity volume and for the sound to change. But if you're playing distorted rhythm guitar underneath a singer, that needs to be quiet.
Yeah.
And it needs to sit in a mix in the way that a distorted rhythm guitar underneath a singer would sit underneath the singer in a mix, right? On a record, it's way, way, way lower. And then when it comes time to do a solo or play a key line or whatever, then you do need to be considerably louder. And I watched the engineer at our gig on Saturday, and he basically did nothing. And he didn't do nothing because he was lazy. He worked really hard.
Yeah.
He was a lovely guy.
But he didn't have to do anything.
He made not a single moan about anyone's volume or anything. I mean, to be fair, he was busy. He was one-man sound crew on a busy festival stage, so I don't think he had too much time to worry about stuff. But learning to play dynamically as a band, I think, is the number one thing. And realising that if you've got that swing of volume under your feet, hands and amplifier, that's the way to do it. Be loud when you need to be loud. But if you can't hear the singer, you're too loud.
Yep. So that is such a great point. I wonder if we can get Doug in here and maybe even Paddy and set up a mic and do something and show when the guitar needs to be quiet. Not quiet, but when the guitar needs to be appropriate behind the singer.
Yeah.
Still rock and roll, but when it's time to step up, it's time to step up. It's one man going to a gig and seeing someone that you can tell they've done a load of work and they really want it to sound great, and the singer's doing their thing, and they stop and turn to the guitar solo to play a solo, and you're going, what? Oh, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And I think we need to sort that out. I think the global TPS community, we need to sort that out.
I walked, as we were unloading, I walked past a couple of the other stages and I was angry. I was physically angry at what I was hearing.
Send me a text.
And you know what I'm going to say, right? They're digital guitar sounds, direct guitar sounds, and they were risible. They were not fit for purpose and inaudible. And I was just like, why do you put all that work in then?
Yeah.
Why do you learn to play the guitar and play music if you can't be heard? It's pointless. And that is partly subjective from the fact that I just don't like that kind of sound, but it's also partly objective from an audibility point of view.
Right.
And I just felt sorry for the people who've put the work into to making music and then to not be heard. It's like, conversely, when we turned up, we pulled the van in behind the main stage. There was a rock band on the main stage. I literally, as we were driving up, I was like, oh yeah, that sounds great. I opened the van door and I said to my friend Steve, that is a real guitar amp.
Okay.
And they came off afterwards while we were unloading. And they were a lovely guy. They were a rock band called Risen, and they were just lovely, lovely guys. And they're flipping harmony guitar solos, a bit maideny, bit all that. And I was just digging it. Anyway, he came out and he said, oh, bloody hell, that pedal show. Anyway, so I said to him, I've got to ask you, that's a real amp, right? He said, of course it is. Because of the bass resonance, because of everything that's happening, there's no... And surprise, surprise, their guitars were audible and amazing.
Right.
So I was really angry, actually. And anyway, blah, blah, blah. Dustin Thiessen, this is an important point. Dustin, and thank you for raising it. He says, I want to know why so many people on here have such a deep-seated hate for audio professionals. If in any sense that comes from us, please don't misunderstand.
No.
The absolute opposite.
Yeah.
I have the absolute highest respect for audio professionals.
Yeah.
Where it becomes tough, I think, is communication. And there's a lot of people in bands and there's a lot of people who might be doing front of house who are not necessarily audio professionals, but anyway. And it's just a communication breakdown. And I think over time, the ability for these two ostensibly warring camps to communicate becomes increasingly eroded. So I think it's about communication as much as it is anything else. And to set up that sort of us and them environment, I think that's the way it's become in some venues. Plus, consider, as you will well know, because I know you do lots of audio work, Dustin, consider the poor sound professional who is faced with these gormless, incommunicative idiots week in, week out.
With attitude.
Yeah. Flaming, just all the shit you see at a gig, a setup for a gig, cases everywhere, everyone just completely in their own head, not really considering what's going on in the wider world, or at least the wider world of that performance that night. And let's offer some solidarity to the audio professionals who have to deal with that week in, week out.
Yeah.
There's got to be a better way, hasn't there?
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
I genuinely think there is.
I always find what's in your rack is a good icebreaker.
I like that.
And then the guy shows you his iPad and you're like, we may have reached an impasse.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a good point, Dustin, and we must say let's not make that any worse than it already is. Thank you for bringing it up. Thank you for bringing it up. Good.
Kevin the Just says, for our US friends, risible equals laughable or ridiculous.
Thank you.
There we go.
Thank you, Kevin. Sorry, is that not a word in it's RISABL?
Oh, this is interesting. Mr. A.C. Angus Young DC says, I'm an audio engineer and I fight a lot of sound people myself. I fight them more than other people. The loud kicks and that.
Yeah. Oh man, that's another thing I was saying to a couple of friends of mine was just listen to that band for a second. insane kick drum.
Dude, I went and saw years ago.
I'm like, what? Why is it that loud?
What's the band? The Hives or so if you're lonely, you know I'm here waiting for you. And
Franz Ferdinand.
Franz Ferdinand. Right, I went and saw them at a festival.
I know that. I had to learn that on the big guitar.
Nice.
Yeah.
And the kick drum.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I tell you what was interesting. I remember as a kid when Bon Jovi came to Australia and there was a support band on and they had this massive kick drum sound, right? Again, it's all that you could hear. Bon Jovi came on and it was like the drum sounded amazing and you could hear everything else and everything sounded beautiful. And the kick drum wasn't trying to kill you. It's like there are ways to do it,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But
And then, of course, what you should also do in that situation, if you're going, oh my God, the sound guy doesn't know what he's doing, you should walk around as well.
Yeah,
and just
right.
make sure you're not stood in that particular hole
trapped
where
somewhere.
because that's another thing. They have a thankless job in certain environments as well, don't they? But yeah.
Oh, Richard Pribenow says risible in the USA is someone that can be teased and take it.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Oh yeah, because so you don't get a rise out of them.
Aha.
Yes.
Irrisible.
Leyland Berg says, "What's with incredibly loud subs?" I know. But then let's say if it sounds being like arrogant or unpleasant towards anything or anybody, the context is classic rock and roll, right? That's where Dan and I live, or it's certainly where I live. I don't know what EDM's supposed to sound like. I don't know what's that German band that everyone loves called?
Schleichenstein.
Them, yeah. No, the German...
Rammstein.
Yeah. Like, I don't know what that's supposed to sound like. I've got no idea about that. And so I'm talking about classic guitar rock, really. And those are the brackets. Yeah. Have you ever seen Rammstein?
No, but they did get in touch and they said, I would love you guys to come out. And we couldn't do it. But honestly, it just looks unbelievable.
It's a moment, isn't it?
Oh.
It's kind of like a like a leather-clad Jägermeister version of Sun.
Nice.
Isn't it?
Very nice.
Sorry, Rammstein fans. Actually, Thorpe's a Rammstein fan, so I hope I haven't. I'll try and offend everybody before the end of the night.
We're an equal offender.
Yeah.
Sun played a gig in Bristol apparently where there's a legal case going on still, I think. Have you heard about this?
Oh, have they hurt? Did somebody get?
So no. Well, what happened was the promoter was like, "We want you to bring the whole rig and do it." And they said, "Okay, we want you to be aware. We're happy to do it, but we want you to be aware that this is the dB level and this is what can happen." And they've gone, "Yep, we want that. We want the whole Sun experience." They've caused structural damage to the building.
Wow.
And so the promoter's just freaking out trying to sue them, but they've got this email trail saying, this is what you asked us to bring. One guy that does our metalwork.
At least we're not that loud, right?
Well, yeah. What? Beatles, Shea Stadium, was it 134 dB?
And that was the crowd.
That was the crowd. But one of the guys that does our metalwork, his son says, he took me to see this band, Sun. He said, I walked right up to the front and I just stood there and it's like just got pummeled. So great. It's like he'd never heard of them.
Well,
It came out going, yeah, awesome.
Matt Cambridge is. I was wondering actually when you said if it might be the Trinity, and he's saying it was the Trinity Art Centre.
Oh, there you go. Son of Trinity Art Centre.
I'm pretty sure that's where we did that Hendrix tribute gig.
Oh,
do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. That was wonderful.
I think I want to say that's the same venue. Mike's Music. Hello, Mike.
Hello, Mike.
The Supro amp behind you, in the middle, rarely gets used, he says. is always there, but it rarely gets any love. What would you pair with the Supro in a wet dry rig? Thank you and carry on. We used to use it quite a bit, Mike, actually. And where we might choose the PRS HDRX 20 now as a sort of 20 watt mid volume non-Fendery sounding amp, to be completely wide about the description, that tends to be the amp we use. The reason being it's easy to access, which the Supro isn't. So thank you for the reminder. We should get it out and start using it again.
It's a great amp.
It's a really good amp. It's super simple. You can mix the two channels and just get it balanced. To overdrive it, it's actually pretty loud. I don't know whether it's maybe 25 watts or something like that. It's the non-reverb version of the Blackmagic. And it's pretty loud, and to get it overdriven, you kind of got to crank it, but it does sound good paired with, I would say, pretty much anything.
Yeah,
we
really
used to pair it with deluxe reverb, with your matchless.
Yep. We have also
the AC15.
The AC15. That was magic pairing.
Yeah,
it's quite a unique sounding amp, but really, really lovely.
I always think of it as quite a strong sounding amp.
Yeah,
like if we say a deluxe reverb at low volume is a weak sounding amp because there's not a lot of mid range and it's a bit nice in it till you get it to about 6, then it's higher. Then it starts to sound stronger when you turn it up. But at low volume, I would say it's a weak sound. And as is the AC15 at low volume, but at low volume it has more strength in the low mids. It's got more urgency in the way it delivers the note, and for that reason, it's a good pairing with those amps. Yeah, we like it. We like it. Sean Jeremilatos. Hello, Sean.
Hello, Sean.
Always good to hear from you, buddy. He says, hello, D&M and fellow gearheads. Hello, fellow gearheads. Thank you for creating this positive and helpful community. All I've done is moan this week, but generally it's good.
But you've moaned in a positive way.
Yeah.
It's uplifting and kind of lovely.
I truly enjoy it and all of you. Thank you, Sean. That's a very kind thing to say. We often remark on the fact that it's a very nice place to be here among you guys, and also, YouTube is social media in general isn't always the most positive environment.
No.
And we're very fortunate in that the TPS family is a considered bunch.
Yeah.
By and large.
Yeah, and we are grateful for it, and we are fiercely protective over it.
Yeah.
You.
Thank you, Sean. Paul Matunovic. Hey, Paul, how are you? Paul has been to at least one experience day.
If not two,
in fact.
Yeah.
Great to hear from you, Paul. He says, greetings, Podai, which is a lovely Latin plural.
That's impressive.
Thought it might be fun to do a going in blind challenge, just making up a board of stuff neither of you had tried yet in the pedal cabinets, and then for a twist, making a board for the other chap as well. Yeah.
Make a blind pedal challenge for the other person. You know what it is? It's what you think that pedal sounds like without ever hearing it. Making a board up.
We'd have to put some pedals in a pile, so you've got distorters, wobblies, time bass, so that you've got a good selection. Or maybe not. Maybe not.
That would be fun.
Do we still have the Miku?
Sorry?
Do we still have the Miku?
No, that's gone back.
Oh, did it? We just borrowed it?
Yeah.
We don't own one.
We don't own a Miku. It's sad. They're worth a fortune now.
I bet they are. Okay, Paul, I shall take a screenshot of that and we'll add it to the challenge list. Thank you, buddy. Chris Liddell. Hey, Chris. Saying hello and showing some appreciation. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, mate.
That's really kind, buddy. Benjamin Hooper. Hey, Benjamin. Hi, D&M. My band Ambient Lights. Ambient Lights. I'll say it again. Ambient Lights. Look for Ambient Lights. Just released an album. And the album is called An Ocean Inside.
Oh, very nice.
flood inspired. No, full of sounds. Our TPS inspired pedal boards created so huge. Thank you for all you do. Hope to see you at an experience day one day. Cheers, Ben.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Congrats, Ben, getting
Yeah,
a record out. That's no mean feat, is it?
No.
So yeah, check them out. Amber Lights again. The album is An Ocean Inside.
I will never not be amazed at just the amount of music that people create and actually manage to get out. So one of the things I was talking to Joey, the songs for my EP, there are 4 songs on there. I wrote them all in a week. And then it's been 5 years doing the rest of the crap to get them out, right? And Joey's like, oh, see, it's the opposite for me. Says I take 5 years writing them. I can record them in a week.
Yeah.
Difference is he really knows the whole structure and the whole recording process.
Knows how
and
to
that
record.
exactly.
Yeah.
And the whole recording thing, that was a journey for me.
Yeah.
It was like a lockdown project, and I had no clue. I'd never ever done anything like that before.
Yeah.
But I mean, every time I see another band come out with an album, I'm like, good on you. Good on you.
Yeah.
Oh, and also, shout out to Jake and Joe's band, All Is a Vow. They played Download Festival
Did they?
last week. They got a chance.
All Ears a Vowel.
They got a chance to play Download Festival. It's like, go on, boys,
Nice.
on your bike, and they were amazing.
Who headlined Download this year?
That's a really great question. Rammstein, no. Sun.
Green Day?
Did they?
Well, it looks like Billy Joe, but I don't know. Download. Oh, God. Come on. Just Green Day, Korn,
Oh, no way.
Sleep Token, Shine Down, Weezer, Bullet for My Valentine, Jimmy Eat World, Meshuggah,
I would love to have seen Korn.
Kron, Steel Panther, Airborne,
On.
Eagles of Death Metal. Oh, my God.
It's a killer line. I mean, it's a great festival.
McFly,
A Download. Come on.
Cradle of Filth. Oh, man. Awesome.
So another thing, there's a Art Tangent Festival that's coming up, and I really want to do. That's where I've heard some of the most epic guitar sounds, and I'm going to talk to the promoter and see if we can set up like a little video booth and do some interviews, because they've got some really amazing sort of guitar players who turn a little bit left. It's really cool.
Because of the noise.
No, just their approach is really cool.
Distant Sun Studios. Shines over everyone. Is that
Yep.
the turnaround? Distant Sun Studios. Hello, Matt. Matt says, hi both. I've always loved the TPS merch and I'm looking for a designer to help get me started on my YouTube channel. Any suggestions? P.S. Dan, yes, my studio is named after the song. Thanks for that. We've got a couple of designers that we use. I was quite lucky because I worked in magazines for a long time, so I knew lots of really good designers and people in that world generally, and picked up a bit personally. So most of the TPS stuff I do, and then the stuff that looks really good, we get a designer to do.
Your designs look amazing.
Yeah, but it's, get a professional, for the really good stuff. And so not really, but I do know that there's a great community online of designers. You can go to various websites where they will offer their wares. I forget the name of the website. Someone will hopefully post it in the comments. But it's kind of like I don't know what you would call it. Not a message board as such, but like a place where you sort of tout for work, for want of a better description. Secondly, much as I can't believe I'm saying this, don't rule out AI. There's quite a lot you can create and do. I appreciate that's like a dagger in the heart of all creatives, or at least many creatives.
I think AI is a good place to get you started.
It can be a good idea to generate an idea.
Yeah. I think the finishing off, they never look amazing. There's always a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
at the end. But I think it can be a good place to get you started.
Yeah. So so hopefully someone will put the name of that creative place in there, and it depends where you are in the world. Yeah, maybe we're not quite there yet. Fiverr, that's it.
Fiverr. Yeah. Okay.
With too many R's. The word five with two R's on the end. Fiverr. Thank you, Jim, and Frankie Walnut's art, and BV as well. Thank you guys for coming in on that. Fiverr, yeah. It was a thing a while ago, Fiverr, so I don't know if it still is, but people are suggesting it, so have a look there. Mark T says AI can be good for concept, but maybe not final product.
Yeah. Yeah. Completely.
Yeah.
And Michael Jamie Foxworthy says, use AI for brainstorming. Yeah.
DMK75 says, has AI replaced LSD then?
Very good.
Private accounts, this is the debate, so we won't have it, but we will at least introduce it. Private account says, I simply cannot entertain AI in my creative workspace. I'll work hard to better my understanding of all mediums and build relationships with creatives over AI every time. Yeah, there's so many creatives who feel that way, and I think you have to acknowledge your own proximity or availability bias in that. So as someone who learned Photoshop, learned Illustrator, learned how to edit, sat there for a week trying to learn Cubase, etc., you have a bias, right? And that's an effort bias. You think because you've done the work, it's worth something. And it might also be your livelihood, which it is mine. So when you see things, and of course the whole thing in Hollywood with the actors and all of that, right? When your livelihood and where you survive is threatened by technology, lest we mention the dear old Luddites, they weren't afraid of technology, they were afraid of starving.
Yeah. And
so all new technology does that in some way, and I think we have to be careful for a minute. I despise AI for completely different reasons. I think people are stupid enough already. They don't need any more reasons to be lied to convincingly. That's what I worry about with AI. But I've got creative friends who use AI in an amazingly creative way because they're open to it and because they realise it can elevate their work and create new things in their own minds for extended creativity. And we've got to try and remember that. Yeah. We've got to try and remember it. But, Dan, I'm sure, is very open to AI because you love technology and all that. And if Dan hates writing, right? So if AI is going to help you write, why the hell wouldn't you use it? Yeah. But then if I say I'm going to use AI to design a really great pedalboard switcher, you'll be like, oh, hang on. Sure. Hang on. Hang on.
Well, I mean, also we've got an AI element in our customer support. I've got a very clever friend, and he's did a little AI chatbot for me, but with a talking avatar. Yeah. Now, why did I do that? Because, last week's a great example. I had all of my staff are off. I got two guys, my support staff, but happen to both be in the same band. I'm not going to tell them they can't go and play download. Yeah. So we've just come up with the little chatbot that answers the most basic questions. And it's been really helpful. And it means that the guys can spend time on the customers that really have issues that need help.
Like all tech, if it relieves the mundane, but then Dan was telling me about some ChatGPT capability with exam marking. Yeah. And you're like, okay, how many jobs then are threatened by that? But that's no different than the flaming weaving loom or the other technologies. And the point of human evolution was that we'd have more time to muck about. rather than dig holes all day.
Yeah.
That was the point, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
But I'm
right.
not sure it's quite happening
Yeah.
like that.
So there is no evidence to say that we are happier with the technology.
No, the opposite.
You know. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, science technology's killed way more people than it saved.
Sure. Well, unless you look at medicine.
Would be interesting to do the maths.
Yeah. Well, I think you can look at the lifespans.
Oh, living longer isn't killing people though, is it? It's living longer.
No, but we live longer because the medicine has improved. Antibiotics, just not dying from an infection.
Yeah. No one's going to argue with that.
Yeah.
No one's going to argue with that.
I was born with asthma, and if I was born in Spartan times, they would have thrown me off the cliff.
But what gave you the asthma?
No idea. In 1971? I don't know.
Yeah. It may have been the result of some science and technology development somewhere down the line.
Okay.
It may be genetic,
Yeah, that's interesting.
but the amount of disease we've created is massive.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is too much for today.
Okay.
No one's going to argue that modern medicine hasn't saved a lot of people and that we live longer. If it sounds like I'm arguing against that, I am not. Only an insane person would argue that. Although medical intervention is the third biggest killer in the US.
Why? Because when they see the bills, they go and jump off a cliff.
I think it's because you're in hospital when you die, really. But
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't know. So says Eckhart Tolle, not me. Good. Anyway. Think of all the leech farms that were put out of business, says Michael Walling.
Very good.
Darren Delaney says, please stop unless you're prepared to discuss genetics. Oh, we don't understand genetics, for goodness sake. We're not geneticists. We're not. Yeah, anyway. Leyland Berg says, Mick, you're harshing my mellow. I know.
Jamie Brown says, I think fresh, clean water is the greatest difference in us living longer. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. But, the modern diet is super killing us.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, mind you, wheat killed us really badly as well.
Yeah.
It took hundreds of years to evolve to wheat.
Yeah.
Anyway, good. Let's get back to pedals with 5 minutes to go. Brilliant episode, says Joe. Hello, Sailor. Hello, buddy. Hello, Sailor Effects Fishers. Brilliant episode. It confirmed my theory. Amps sound best when they're just loud enough to scare the dog, but not quite wake the kids.
That's very good.
Great show. Cheers, guys.
Thank you, mate.
Good to hear from you.
There's
Joe.
quite a few people that says I saw what the show was about and I wasn't going to watch it, but I put it on and they really were amazed. So yeah,
It was really hard to write a title for because it sounds so simple.
yeah,
And of course, one of the things that we need for YouTube's algorithm is things that sound simple that people think might be useful. But the danger of that is you look at it and you go, well, I know that.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Pippa Smith. Leech farms are not out of business. They are used to draw blood through reattached fingers and toes.
Wow.
There you go.
Wow.
Ryan Black. AI gave Dan asthma.
George Skelly says, I wonder if AI will ever tell us if wood makes a difference to tone. It'll be able to analyse the data, for sure, really quickly. Chris Turner. Hey, Chris. Paul Matulovic. Sorry, we'll get to you, Chris, in a sec. Paul Matulovic. What's a sound that you love that's a departure from your usual tone? For example, Dan likes it bright, but chooses dark and soupy phasers.
Okay. I adore Yngwie's tone. Absolutely adore Yngwie Malmsteen's tone.
Just that hard rock Marshall Strat sound.
But his thing
Yeah.
and that That's I think that is I could listen to Yngwie play and listen to his tone. Where with a lot of shredders, I mean, I find I struggle. There's only a handful of shredders, as it were, that I can listen to. Paul Gilbert, the first Mr. Big album was just mind blowing. I can listen to him. I don't call Andy a shredder because he's just so musical. But there's very, very few shredders I can listen to. I can listen to Yngwie because I hear so much music in what he does. But his tone, man, is just crazy, crazy good.
Yeah. What about something? So my I would agree. A sound that I never necessarily use and is outside of my world, but I absolutely love is hair metal. So
right.
I'm trying to think who would typify that, but even as cheesy as Steel Panther,
oh yeah,
all that stuff, I just love that approach and that
Played
kind of
well.
playing and that style, but I couldn't play it. Okay, so that's something that you don't do. What about something that you do?
That would be surprising that I dig.
Yeah. So Paul says dark and soupy phasers, but I'm not sure they are because you always have that ying on the top of the phaser as well.
I think it's just fuzz in a way that isn't that fuzzy. Because, like, you know, normally the gain stages are kind of not completely flat, but pretty flat into bright amplifiers. But I really dig a fuzz with the fuzz dial back a bit. Just the dynamic of it and the break, and it just goes, and it sort of breaks when you dig in.
Yeah.
That's something I really dig.
Yeah. Yeah. I think mine has just been an increasing move to grittier sounds.
Okay, that's cool.
I wanted to say less headroom, but it's not, because I think those sounds sound best at volume.
Yeah.
But where I didn't really understand Marshalls and Gibsons, or like that mid-range bark of Angus Young, I just didn't get it, didn't know how to use it. That is creeping into some of the stuff I'm currently playing, and I just dig it. Like we play You Shook Me All Night Long, and the first note of the solo is, or at least I think it is, how do I know? You know, let's say it's in G. I better not play it because it's, you know, that song. It's like, what's on? And they're all Chuck Berry licks,
Yeah, okay.
etc. I mean, I don't sound like Angus Young, but and that, like a Gibson style guitar through with a really martially sound, is like, oh my god, that's it. And I've never really been into that before, so that's what it is for me.
Yeah.
That's what it is for me. Not that I don't think it sounds fantastic, by the way. I just didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to, because coming from Strat and Fender Ampland, it's a world away. Chris Turner. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Chris.
Thanks for the question, Paul, as always. Chris Turner says, really enjoyed the conversation about master volume and gain. One thing I've been wondering about is outdoor versus indoor gigs and how to adjust effects.
That's a great question.
The trouble is, well, not the trouble. One of the issues is as the stage and venue get bigger, you've kind of got no idea what's happening. So the only thing you can do is be happy in your little bubble, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. You've got to trust the sound guy, make sure that you sound great, and make sure that you mix yourself with the band as to what's going on the stage. So if you're outdoor, you're not going to hear everything bouncing. So make sure that the drummer's giving it the beans and the bass player accordingly, and make sure that everyone can hear each other, and make sure that your sound is appropriate for being outdoor. It might be that you need to put a bit more reverb on, a little bit more mix in the wet.
Yeah, you can definitely run a bit wetter the bigger the outdoorness gets.
Yeah.
Yeah, without doubt. We at the gig on Saturday, our drummer Simon, he's a hitter
Nice.
and a good hitter.
Right.
And Paul had an Ampeg tube bass amp, and it's like, okay, it's
Done.
all easy from there.
That's great.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah. Okay, and last in this week is Patrick Hilaire. Hello, Patrick.
Hello, Patrick.
I'm sure we've heard from you before, Patrick, but Hilaire seems new to me for some
Yeah,
reason.
does
Apologies if it's not. Anyway, he says, thoughts on the Super Reverb being the only black panel amp, blackface amp, that can keep up with a drummer in close proximity. I need clean headroom and the Deluxe can't do it. Yeah. Well, a twin will.
Twin will.
Depending on which twin you get. I would have thought the 65 reissue one will. They're quite a lot louder than the Deluxe Reverb. And then if you get into some of the silver panel ones, CBS era ones, they're even louder and cleaner generally. And then
Because you used to play silver face
there's
twins,
the
right?
Showmans and all that as well.
Yeah, you used to play silver face twins.
Before I discovered the Mesas, yeah, that was the first amps I had. It's funny, isn't it? You say to some people, Deluxe Reverb not loud enough, and they just think you're from another planet, because that seems to be the most ridiculous thing to say. But you're absolutely right. If you want a loud, clean sound, no, they're not loud enough with a spirited drummer.
Yep.
Because it will overdrive. Super will do it, Twin will do it, but once you're into that world, there's a lot of other choice.
Yeah, Pro Reverb.
Yeah, really nice Pro. Again, 50 watts, are they the Pros, something like that? Two tubes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so not massively different from a Super.
Yeah, but it's like a 212 version of a Super, but it's a half power version of a Twin. I had a wonderful sounding Pro Reverb.
Yeah, I like the Pro Reverbs whenever I hear one. Bassman might do it. I know it's not like a mid-60s style amp, it's a tweed amp, but they have some really nice cleans, the Bassmans.
Yeah, the
They
clean
do
sound
break up a bit, but...
The clean sound of now Bassman is wonderful.
Yeah, it does got odd speakers, but... yeah, and then I think then you're into boogies.
Yep.
The natural sort of progression for that sort of Fender-derived clean sound would be boogie, I think. I don't know about many of the modern ones, but loads of the 90s era rectifier type amps had amazing clean channels. Really, really spectacular clean channels.
A boogie history would be really interesting to do.
Yeah, wow.
Do we know anyone here that has all the shenanigans? Apart from you?
You know, they're very, very particular, the boogie people.
Okay.
So maybe get someone in who knows what they're talking about would be a good idea. Yeah. A couple of our friends took out the Tone Master Super and the Tone Master Bassman and enjoyed it. So they might be worth having a listen to. Not something that we'd go for, but, that's just one opinion. Yeah, I'd say a twin, but they're just evil heavy to carry around. So some like a head and cab format might suit you better.
But then, did the head have reverb?
I don't know that there is a twin head, or it would be called something different. The Dual Showman was the massive one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That certainly had headroom, reverb.
Right.
So,
what's the trem? Was Dave Gregory's amp for all the XTC stuff. Not the Tremoverb. It was something like that. Tremoverb's a boogie, isn't it? But
Ibrolux.
Tremolux.
Tremolux. Oh,
Tremolux.
yeah, wow, yeah.
Yeah.
A bit smaller, I think, Tremolux.
Yeah, but very, very cool thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully, I don't know if that'll help Patrick or not, but if you want a loud small amp, look for a little boogie, 50 watt Express or something like that. That'll be nice and loud and clean.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the main boogies are now, whether it's the the Fillmore probably will be louder than a deluxe, but probably not quite what you're looking for.
Right.
Yeah, Marks are all the Mark 4, Mark 5, and Mark 7. Great, brilliant amps, but just overkill if you don't need 3-4 channels and all that mucky
Switching.
muck.
More mucky muck.
If you do need all the mucky muck, great choice.
Yeah. Tremor Verb though.
Boogie Tremor Verb. Yeah, if you can find one, they were great.
They're amazing.
Electrodyne. Oh, that was a
yeah.
great amp.
Heartbreaker.
Oh, Heartbreaker. What a great amp. Oh.
See, there's so many. There's a lot of stories there with those amps. I was on tour with an artist in Australia called Wendy Matthews, and stopped in at Canberra, and the owner of the boogie store in Canberra is the brother of Play with Chick Corea, Frank Gambale.
Oh.
And he was the massive boogie guy in Australia.
Yeah.
And I went and met him. He was just the nicest guy in the world, and he had a Heartbreaker in there. And I fell in love with it.
It was Mark 1 derived, the Heartbreaker.
Right.
Really great amp.
Yeah, wonderful.
Ryan Black raises a great point, which is
Are we doing Stanage?
Blues Deluxes and Hot Rod Deluxes are a really, really, really good shout. They're extremely affordable compared to the reissue amps, and they're flaming loud. If you go for the 212 or the 410, either Blues Deluxe or Hot Rod Deluxe, 60 watts in 212 or 410 format, and they're just great workhorses.
Yeah.
Really good amps.
Yeah.
And the Landau one is based on that.
Yeah, right.
That'd be a good shout. The
I've heard
ML 212.
I've heard some wonderful tones from the Blues Deluxe.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, great.
Okay. Thanks for being with us, everyone. We'll see you Friday. Friday is another amp focus show to do with the new Celestian Peacekeeper speaker.
Wicked.
Yeah, so we're going to have a really good listen to the Peacekeeper speaker in the context of a very basic attenuator. So it's not a show about what's the best attenuator. It's nothing to do with that. It's, does this Celestian Peacekeeper speaker work? Peacekeeper speaker. Does it work? And how does it differ from a basic attenuator?
Yeah.
And it's a blimmin' interesting show, isn't it?
Oh, it was fascinating. I really, really dug it.
Yeah. Yeah. Groovy.
Groovy.
Groovy. Okay, thanks for being with us, everyone. I got physio in the morning, which I'm very happy about.
Nice. Everything okay?
I have an ongoing back issue, which seeing the physio once a month keeps in check.
Okay, nice.
Too many large cabinets being carried across fields, Daniel. Right, don't forget, Dan, 31st of July, Thursday the 31st of July, at the Vic in Swindon. And if you happen to be at Ellafest near Weymouth this weekend on Saturday night, come see the WTF band.
The WTF band, I dig it.
Worsley Taylor Frost.
Nice.
And you might witness me trying to be Angus Young, which is properly hilarious. Okay. Play us out, Dan. What is that?
Running on Empty, Jackson Brown.
Yes. Not as much as Kermit does. Bye!
See you later.